Okay. Hello, my name is Ricardo, and I'm doing a presentation on public Wi-Fi and its risk. Yeah. So let's get started. So before we get into it, I'm just gonna do a tiny little history on Wi-Fi, like a tiny little history lesson. So in '97, it had its first standard release, the term Wi-Fi wouldn't be coined until 1999. That's when it would hit the market. And then starting in the 2000s, Wi-Fi would be a lot more common, and especially common in places like coffee shops, hotels, obviously homes as well. And now over 20 billion Wi-Fi devices exist, and it's even gotten to the point where some cars have Wi-Fi, have built-in Wi-Fi. Like, saw this short, like yesterday, at the time of this recording, where this minivan had built-in Wi-Fi, and and it also had a built-in like Roku TV on the back of like the front seats. You know how like back in the old times, like, or back in the day where minivans had like TVs on the back. It was something like that. But instead it was those Roku TVs you see nowadays where you don't need cable, or you don't like plug in any cable. Yeah. History lessons over. So what's public Wi-Fi? Public Wi-Fi is, it's a network that's available to the public. Um, and this could be again, like coffee shop, internet cafes. Internet cafes are specifically built on you know public Wi-Fi, and there's also airports as well. If it's a public building, then you're gonna likely find some form of Wi-Fi at least nine times out of 10. But it varies if it's actually public Wi-Fi or not. It could be just workplace Wi-Fi that the building and company needs to function. But uh, again, it's kind of guaranteed that you'll likely see some form of Wi-Fi if it's a public building, and it's a it's a little less likely that it's public, but it's not absolutely zero. So why can it be risky? Well, attacks like man in the middle can happen, and they don't. And these networks don't come with a lot of encryption. Uh, some do have some form of encryption, like Mall of America, for example. The Mall of America has like when you connect to its public Wi-Fi, it asks for your email and your birthday. Like at least the first time when you do it. Sometimes it'll ask you again if you reconnect to it, but it'll ask you for your email and your birthday, and then it'll let you in. Uh, e- Another example I can think of is Metro State. It also has it's kind of encryption. It's just like the little terms and conditions that you have to accept before you can connect to it. But it's not a lot. Obviously, some public Wi-Fi's do have a bit more encryption, but it's rare. At least in my experience, it's pretty rare to find that. But yeah, it's most of the time they don't have a lot of encryption. Some you can just connect to just seamlessly without doing much work. Uh, Another risk is, you know, hackers can set up, fake Wi-Fi, and with that, they can do whatever they want with your data. And another thing is malware distribution can also happen. And, with how things are nowadays, you can obviously send stuff wirelessly, um, and and that could lead to be to having malware unknowingly sent to you. So a real world example was some in early 2020, rail station Wi-Fi providers' traveler data got exposed, and this was found by some security researcher. Like the database was found by this researcher, and from their knowledge, there was no like password lock or anything. And obviously, the company has, had done its best to take it down, and it exposed basically travel patterns, email addresses, and names of the travelers. And I mean, who knows how long it was up there for before it got taken down. But thankfully, the company stepped in, took it down, or at least did their best to. Though I think they weren't. I think they were hesitant on informing their customers about it, but I believe they did inform them eventually and have taken steps to improve their security and their and mitigate the vulnerabilities and stuff like that. So, which leads to what can happen. So like in the previous slide, data can get stolen. You know, your data, anybody's data, company data, it can get stolen, it can get leaked, and obviously that includes stuff like passwords, emails, bank information. I think it depends on what you access. Identity theft is also possible this way because you know uh because if you're accessing that stuff and you're on public Wi-Fi, then that can very much happen. And if you're using like a company-owned device, like like your workplace provides you one, and you're having to use it, like just say Caribou or something, then company data can also get stolen. And, that could be very bad for your business and whatnot. So how can you mitigate these risks? A big one is to use a VPN, and a lot of YouTubers that get sponsored by like VPN companies mention the use of public Wi-Fi and how it can be risky, and how hackers can steal your data and all that. Mainly, you'll see this with like Nord or ExpressVPN. I've actually used ExpressVPN at one point. I think they had like some sort of trial or something back then. I don't know if they still do or not, but I mean it works. But I think for me, my gripe is that it's behind a paywall, and it's also like, well, what are they doing with your data? But I think with what they're doing with your data and where it's going, I think that's also kind of a bigger gripe. And obviously, there are free VPNs out there, but I think if you want to use a VPN, it's best to look into like which ones you're eyeing about, But I have used VPNs in the past, and they've worked for the most part. But yeah, it's definitely a double edged sword. But I think VPNs do have their own benefits too. Like, being able to access stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to access, like certain shows on Netflix you can't access in certain countries, but in some you can. And that's just like one of the benefits. To move on and turn off file sharing, or just don't share files at all. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record with this one, but just don't access like sensitive stuff like, you know, your bank and all that. Again, I sound like a broken record saying that, but it's just, you know, I think that's kind of a big one to do. And I think the next big one to do is to enable two-factor whenever you can. If like a site or app has it, then I highly recommend enabling it, because I mean, you never know when someone's going to try to hack you and steal anything. I mean, I've seen hacks happen out of the blue recently, and it's a scary time. And lastly, it's just keep your OS, operating system, or apps, anything just updated. That's just kind of normal for, you know, cybersecurity habits to practice. Is just keep your things updated, because they might just not run properly, and it might expose a vulnerability. Here I will play a short video of I just need a refresh. But yeah, here is a short video of, you know, of a hacker demonstrating these risks.
Well, we've been warned repeatedly that using free public Wi-Fi can put our personal information at risk. But facing a choice of using up our data or connecting with free Wi-Fi, most of us take the gamble.
So what is the risk? WBZ's Christina Hager got a lesson from a real-life hacker.
The risk for the public networks is because they're out there, they're open, unencrypted. An attacker can join it just as easily as you can.
And that's exactly what we did with the help of hacking expert Steve Walker.
I can see all the different networks out there, all the different clients, and which one do I want to look like?
Wicked free Wi-Fi is available here on the Boston Common, and Steve created his own imposter version with a laptop and small device anyone can buy online.
And that didn't take too long.
No, it didn't take long at all.
Anyone closer to his signal than the one the city is blasting out will only see the fake wicked free Wi-Fi option. And if your device connected to the real system in the past, it could even automatically join this rogue Wi-Fi network.
So you just called it the same thing?
Yeah.
Or is there any slight difference?
Nope.
While the name is exactly the same, the login page is different.
And that's my login page that I gave you.
For Steve's fake Wi-Fi, he created these two phishing links to Facebook and Gmail.
I could sign in here, and now you know my Facebook password.
That's right. Password was Hager.
Yeah, C. Hager. That's my name.
Steve is seeing every letter as I type it.
Could you be a fake business and take someone's credit card information?
Yep.
And even if you don't fall for the links, once you're connected to the imposter Wi-Fi, he knows your every online move.
You're going to Google.
Anything I'm reading, you can see what I'm interested in.
Yep.
This vulnerability can be exposed through any free and open Wi-Fi at coffee shops, stores, airports, hotels, anywhere.
There's always a risk when you join any type of public Wi-Fi.
If you do join, cyber defense expert Peter Tran recommends turning off any file sharing apps. And for iPhone users, this means AirDrop.
And if you're going to be on public Wi-Fi, make sure you're not working with sensitive data or things that you normally would not want to just share with everybody.
And before typing in credit card numbers or passwords, look at the address bar and make sure you see this lock, meaning the website is secure. On Steve's fake Google page, the address bar didn't even have that lock, and instead of google.com, you only see a series of numbers. That's a big red flag. All of this adds up to the reason for this advice.
If you don't have to get on public Wi-Fi, don't do it.
Christina Hager, WBZ News.
And yeah, so to conclude, sorry for the screen not going full. I'm not sure how to fix that, but anyway, so to conclude, public Wi-Fi, while convenient and, you know, pretty nice, it's risky, And it is best to be vigilant because, you know, you never know when someone could advise you, like in the video, you know, you never know when someone could just yine your data and all that because maybe you connected to the wrong one. And use VPNs if you can, and overall just have good security habits. You know, like we've been learning a lot in this class, it's definitely something to be informed about and all that. And that'll conclude my presentation. Thank you for watching or listening, whichever one you're doing. And here are my references. Here's what I used. Overall, just have a good day or night.